Hello everyone. Today's topic is input-output mapping. So here we will go to see I/O devices, I/O modules, I/O configurations, types of I/O systems, polling and interrupt in I/O, types of information systems we can have, I/O system architecture, and interface buses and ports. Now I/O considerations. So some of the issues are there and some of the coordinations we have to do while we are going to work with the I/O operations. So speed issues we can have. CPU operates at a speed much faster than the fastest I/O device that we know. Okay, and it is a very obvious reason because CPU work on electronic systems. It is work with the electronic chips, whereas I/O devices have the mechanical components also. Okay, like a printer is having the rotor, hard disk is having a rotor also. Okay, so mechanical speed can never be comparable at that of the electronic speed. So because of the CPU will always operate at the higher speed, there is no issue. Another thing is the devices operate at the different speed again. Now again you are not having any specific criteria at what speed a particular device will work. Okay, every device will have the different speed. Keyboard will have the different, printer will have the different, hard disk may have different, RAM may have a different one. Again there is a burst of data. Okay, data may come in a bulk in the smaller of the way. So that is also have to consider here. That is also one of the issue. Blocks data transfer is required for some of the devices. Okay, some devices do not work with the speed of the CPU and even they cannot work on an individual database. For example, printer. Printer needs the entire page at a moment. Okay, so block of the data is required. Okay, then coordinations we have to do. I/O devices completely operate under CPU program control. Okay, several devices perform I/O simultaneously. Now you know that the USB. Okay, you can connect the many of the devices using the USB, so it is possible to have the many of the devices performing operations simultaneously. Okay, then unexpected input, that is control C, control S, control alt delete. Okay, well, this kind of the operations may do at any time dynamically. Okay, so that also has to get handled. Another is the various input formats. Okay, there is audio, there is a video, there is a text, there can be the screenshot, there can be some of the interrupt saves. Okay, lot many things are there, have to consider. The status information needed for each device, very obvious thing. Okay, now the typical data rates of the I/O devices. Now we can see that the keyboard is working at the speed of 0.01 kilobytes per second. Okay, and the type of operation is the character, means the character wise operations is it is doing. Mouse also is working with the comparable speed 0.02 kilobytes per second, and it is going with the character. Whatever you are placing, it will have a character value. Okay, voice input again equal, but it's a block burst mode. Okay, whenever we talk, we are talking in a burst mode. We cannot go in the character by character. The scanner scanning the entire image simultaneously. Speed is little bit high. Okay, 200 kilobytes per second. Okay, then voice input, the mic you can say, voice output you can say, that is a 0.5. So you can say see here the lots of the different type of the I/O devices we have, and we are concerned with the lots of the considerations we have to do with respect to their speed and the type of communication. Okay, so nothing is new for you. These all of the devices you already have seen. Now I/O devices interface issues. Now different formats. Some devices work in a parallel interface. Some devices work in a serial interface. Now it's a very simple thing is that when I say you are working in a parallel interface, so data going in the parallel line. For example, we may imagine this kind of the operations with the printer. Okay, or we may imagine this information with the hard disk. Whereas the serial interface we can say like a keyboard or a mouse, or many of the printers also may work on it. Even the internet connection is also working on a serial interface. Okay. Another is the buffering of data. Okay, now it is obvious that the CPU is working with the high speed, very high speed, so it cannot wait for the particular device to send the information. So there will be buffering somewhere in a system, and later on computer will read it. Reverse is also possible. Computer will provide information within one of the buffer, and I/O devices may take it. Input device I/O devices may take it in some of the buffer way at its particular speeds. Okay, compatible speed. Now burst versus the streams issue. The burst means you know that we are giving the entire data at a moment. Okay, in a bulk of the way, whereas the stream is the continuous processing. Okay, bit by bit. Different control requirements are there. Electromechanical. Okay, some of the devices are completely electrical, some of the devices may be electromechanical. For example, RAM is the electronic, okay, whereas the hard disk is having the electromechanical components also, whereas the printer is having the heavy mechanical content. Okay, now simple configuration through the IO module. Now how we can work with this? IO device is connected to the CPU through IO module. Okay, that we know that. Now there is a in already we have studied in some of the previous lectures, that is a computer organization and architecture. Okay, and operating systems also. There are the separate routines available for the IO operations. Okay, IO CPUs are separately also available. Nowadays processors are quite smart. They are also having the IO module themselves. Okay, it is already embedded with the IO or processor. Now IO module contains the following hardware. Okay, one is the block transfer. You have to send the information in block, so block transfer is there. Then appropriate buffering method should be there. Then standardized interface to the CPU. Okay. Then control of connected IO devices. Okay. Now IO module functionality. It recognizes the messages from the device, address to it and accept commands from the CPU. Okay. Provides a buffer where the data from memory can be held until it can be transferred to the disk. Provides the necessary registers and the controls to perform a direct memory transfer. Okay. Then physically controls the device, copies data from its buffer to the device from the CPU to its buffer, and notifies with the interrupt. So these are the very common operations we can see that we have to perform with the IO module. Okay. Now what is the operations is done by the what type of the devices and how we can categorize it. So first of all, the CPU. Then IO module. In IO module, there are the, I already said you, there is a IO processor is available. Okay, the beside of that there is a device controller, there is a disk controller also. Whereas the IO devices we have seen with the previous slide, there are many more. Okay. Now IO configuration, how it really works. So typically this is we have studying it for long. Okay. This is the very common operation you are going to see from your first class also. Your first year also you are seeing there are the three address lines. Okay, control data bus, IO data bus, and IO address buses and the data buses. So control bus, the address bus, and data bus. Okay, they all are connected to the IO module because IO module is need the controls also, need the address also, and need the data also. Okay, and CPU is working over it. So by these particular lines, we may connect many modules. Even IO module is capable to work on a multiple IO devices. For example, what we can say, pen. Now the bus view. Okay, we have seen it. Just you can get the idea of how the buses are working. So address bus, data bus, and control bus. Now there are the two types of the mappings. One is the IO mapping, another is the memory mapping that we are going to see today. How is the IO differentiate from the memory? And the two possibilities are there: memory map IO and IO map IO. Now first of all we will see memory map IO. Okay, as I said, memory and IO, they will reside in a sum of the space. Okay, your CPU will not get differentiated with the IO or the memory. I have given you the example that is about the postman. So initially we were having a letter box, okay, at our doorstep, and he was going to drop the letter there, and we are just collecting at our particular time, provided it was not a very important one. Nowadays it is a registry one, so he is coming to doorsteps taking our sign. Okay, but you can imagine for everything we are having some kind of the memory, and the data is coming there and we are using it. So IO processors, IO devices, and the CPU is working with a similar fashion. They are having common memory space where they can exchange their information. Okay, so it is very simple to get understand. Okay, and we can see the memories and the IO will be accessed with the same way. Now we differentiate only by their addresses. Okay, now you can say STA to store the content of the accumulator to the specified address. Okay, so this is happening. Now here STA 2000 might be a memory and STA 8000 may be a IO device. So with respect to CPU, it is the same command. With respect to CPU, it is the same command. Okay. Now we can see your memory has got divided. Memory space has got divided, or in better way, not I will say the memory. The addressable memory, logical memory, get divided among the two parts: memory part and the IO part. So we can see these particular locations. For these particular locations, This address will be get allotted for the IO devices. This particular address will get allotted for the memory, and this may be for some other purposes as well. Okay, so this is the way how your memory has got divided. Okay, so that we have seen. Now we'll see IO map IO. So occupy different spaces. Now here memory and IO operations will have the different space, are accessed by the unique instructions. So here instructions for the IO devices will be different, whereas instructions for our memory will be different. So differentiated by the instructions. Okay. Now memory instructions, most instructions refers to memory. So obviously when you are working with the memory, we are trying to access memory, read and write. So most of the instructions will reference to the memory, whereas the IO instructions will be many more now. Now you can see there is an in code instruction for the in, out code instruction for the out. Okay, and move for the specific kind of the devices. Okay. Now different space, IO is different, memory is different. Okay, and separate scheme for it, separate IO module will be used for this purpose. Now implementation IO map IO. Okay, so typically access to memory and the IO uses the same address bus and the data bus that we have seen with the previous slides. Okay, we are using the same address bus, same data bus, same control bus for this purpose. Okay, a dedicated control bus signal differentiates a memory cycle from an IO cycle. Okay, so your CPU cycle, the working time will get shared. Sometime it will work on an IO cycle, sometime it will work on a memory cycle. Okay. Now on Intel's Pentium CPU, this control bus signal is named MIO. So we have already seen it. So M bar is given there. It simply means that when 0, it will work with the memory cycle. When 1, the positive one, it will work with the input output cycle. Okay, so this is typically how that particular signal get work. Okay, additional one of the pin will be there, which will get differentiate among the IO operation as well as memory operation. So this will be 0, they will work with the memory. This is 1, they will work with the IO devices. Now we can have the differentiate among it. Okay, so isolated IO and the memory map IO. Isolated IO uses the separate memory space, whereas the memory map uses the same memory space. Okay, isolated IO will have the limited instruction that we have seen in, out, ins and out. Okay, operations we have seen, whereas the instructions may be common and may be referred by the memory locations. The addresses for the isolated IO device are called ports, where it is only directly a memory map, only locations. Here are the signals IORC, IOWC signal expand the circuitry. We may expand this for the different kind of the IO operations. Okay, whereas we will not have any kind of the operations in the memory map IO. It is efficient IO operation obviously because it will have the separate cycle. Okay, it is inefficient IO because using for the same database and for the memory, so there will be a rush. Comparatively larger in size. Okay, it is in smaller in size. Obviously here you are using only one memory space, you are using the big 2 memory space, so this will be bigger in size. Okay, uses complex internal logic. You have to handle the 2 different IO systems. It is a simple as compared to the isolated devices. Slower operation and it is a faster operations. Okay, so these are the significant differences between the isolated IO operations and memory map IO.